Hi everybody. So I'm back, and I'm back with my friend Edward, and hopefully you can see us. We're gonna cuddle. So this is my friend Edward. We've known each other for about 10 years.
Yeah,
it's been 10 years.
It's been a long time.
It's been a while already, yeah. So Ed is here today to do some readings with me. I thought it would be fun. I'm excited.
Me too.
So tell them a little bit about yourself, Ed.
So I have been, I've been reading since since before I was 18, so almost 30 years at this point in time. I'm a Reiki master practitioner and teacher. I mean, this is the life that I've always wanted to live. You know, these are the things. If I could do just this all the time, I would absolutely do this all the time. In my professional life, away from this type of work, but still using the same sets of skills, I work with people with brain injuries, and you know, provide as much healing for them as I can as well. And so everything that I do, all of the pieces, and I have cards today, but I also read runes, and I channel, and I work as a medium sometimes, and you know, all of those pieces, I always have the intention of healing. That's what it is. So, you know, if you've watched Lori, your experiences will be very different than like a lot of other card readers, and I tell people that when they come to see me, that, you know, my card readings are set as a healing modality, not necessarily as a I will see this in the future. We right? I mean, you know,
I love it.
People have that expectation.
Yeah.
And yes, we do that, but
yeah.
You know, at the same time, it's all with the purpose of healing and getting a person from point A to point B, revealing truths, you know, that need to be revealed, and answering questions that really need to be answered for people's peace of mind, and then just for their highest and holiest purposes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For the highest and greatest good always.
Always, yeah.
Only and always.
Only and always, yeah.
And yeah, that's always my intention. Everything that I do, when you're Edward or me,
right.
Everything that we do has what we are healers.
Yeah.
We came in to do that.
Yeah.
We came in, that's been the thing that has driven both you and I our entire lives. Yeah. So, in our core essence, that's what we are, and so everything that we do gets that.
Yes.
Every single thing, the food that we cook, you know, the plant that we touch, just everything. So it's very much, it's just very much who we are, so it's in everything that we do. Everything.
I was a chef for a while, and that was always the thing for me. You know, my biggest compliment is when people will taste the food, and if you guys have seen the Disney movie Ratatouille, you know, where the guy, you know, where the critic eats the peasant food, which is ratatouille, you know, the dish, which is a peasant's dish in France, you know, and he eats it and he's transported back. That's always been my intent, and I was a chef for years, and that was the response most of the time, you know, and it didn't matter what I was cooking, you know. I mean, I had a Mexican crew at one point in time, and I was making chili, and they were like, "But you're white,"
good,
you know. I mean, like,
chili.
You know, they're like, "You can't make chili. You're not Mexican."
It's the love,
and it was, and they would taste it, and they're like, "Oh my gosh, this is like my grandmother made, or this is like my mother makes, or this is, you know, this is really legit. You know, this is a thing." And I was like, "Of course it is, because I put love in it, like your grandmother did." You know,
you gotta have the love and the healing, or it doesn't taste good.
It doesn't. No.
So, we are here today to read one of the things that one of you asked me to read on quite a little while ago, and I told you that I wanted to be able to come on and actually do a video to do it, is the Heyoka Empath.
Mm.
And, yeah, so we're going to come at this from a standpoint of what is best for the Heyoka Empath to hear, not the standpoint of what the Heyoka Empaths are being told they're doing here, okay? So, again, it's about healing. It's for you, and not so much about what you're supposed to be doing. If that makes sense?
I think a lot of times, specifically for something like the Heyoka Empath, we read a lot about it, and we have these thoughts, and we're told what it is that we are, and that limits us in a lot of ways. So you know, if you want to learn what a Heyoka Empath is, by all means, you know, you can find a ton of information out there. Some of it is contradictory, so you always have to intuit and discern, what is true versus what is just somebody making up for views or for whatever. But, a lot of the way that I've always looked at empaths in general and the Heyoka empath in specific is, it come from a place of love, but don't limit yourself. Yes, you've been told all these things, and yes, a lot of them are true, but don't limit yourself.
Right.
So that's really a big thing.
Absolutely. Because one of the worst things that we can do is allow ourselves to be labeled and then take that on as an identity, because it stunts our growth and it stunts our healing. One of the best things that my spiritual counselor ever said to me was, I said to him, I had a vision, and I'd had a vision of a mass murder, and I had seen the murderer, and I had compassion for the murderer.
Right.
And I up until that point, I had always only had compassion for what I deemed the victim. Okay, so for what in my head I identified a victim as, which the person that would have been the people having the crime done to them, right? Never really stopped to think of what drives the victimizer, right? So I actually had like this empathy for the murderer. And this is during a period of time where I was doing a lot of emotional healing, my own emotional work. And I said, I can't believe it. I actually had like compassion for this guy. And he's like, well, don't limit yourself.
Right.
And he's like, yeah, don't put restrictions on yourself. Like, you can't have compassion for everyone.
Right.
And that's really where we're going, you guys. So it's no, you don't have to agree with the way some nefarious people behave or the actions that they've taken or the things that they're doing. We don't have to agree with any of that. We don't. We can say we do not consent to that type of behavior and understand that we just can't have sociopaths running around in society doing harm to people, but still be able to come from a place of compassion to understand that somehow they got that way, whether it was done to them and they were programmed and they were MK Ultra'd, or whether they endured incredible suffering and abuse, or, there are a million different ways that a person could get to that place. We can have compassion for all of that without agreeing to or consenting to the way that they've chosen to go about living their lives.
Right.
Right?
Absolutely.
So, yeah, don't limit yourself. Don't limit yourself. And also, sometimes when we put a label on ourselves, what we're doing is we're stunting our growth. If we become something and we identify with something and we identify with it so strongly in our ego mind, it doesn't give us room for expansion. And we're here to expand and grow and grow and grow beyond any limits that we have in place. That's part of the Great Awakening. That's part of the shift. That's part of the Aquarian age. And, so take the labels off. Ed and I have funny stories in our own lives about where for a minute even though we know better, because we've done the emotional work and we feel beyond these labels, sometimes we get caught up in a label.
Yep.
And we identify with that label, and it can become very passionate. You can become very, very passionate about it. But to be consciously aware of it and see what triggered you to feel so passionately about a particular label and then grow from there is really what it's all about. So, yeah, having those moments is really good because we can grow from there.
Yeah. And when we realize that, absolutely, that we're doing it, it's an important thing.
And it's really great to have communities and people in our lives like Ed and I help each other recognize those moments in ourselves all the time. And we're pretty good about giving each other that minute to absorb it. and then hitting each other with the truth.
Let us have our space, and then
and then
by the way,
gently help pull each other out of that place. But so yeah, don't label yourself. The first thing I want to do, I've already set the intentions. Of course, the healing intentions and everything are set for all of you. So all you got to do is breathe it in, accept it. for your highest and greatest good, only in all ways. And yeah, we're in the shop today, so there's lots of crystals.
Pretties.
But the truth is, the whole house is attuned with Reiki. Everything in it is attuned with Reiki, same as the shop. And I always set all of these healing intentions for everybody. So it doesn't matter where I'm doing it. You're going to get all of those wonderful energies if you're accepting of them. And if not, that's okay too.
Yeah.
That's okay too. So the first thing I'm going to say is I want to see what Spirit wants to say to the Heyoka Empaths. What message? And so do you want to ask a different question with your cards, or do we want to just get two nice readings?
I think we two nice readings because,
okay.
You know, as much as we talk about, you know, perceptions and whatnot, and as a reader, one of my goals is always to not have my readings necessarily colored with my perception.
Absolutely.
The thing is that I will resonate with certain pieces of a message that comes through, and you will resonate with sometimes very similar and sometimes the same, but also sometimes very different information. One of the things that I've done before in previous lives and experiences is we've only had one set of tarot cards, and so two people will read the same reading, taking from the same deck, and we do back and forth. You know, this is how I see the card, and this is how I see the card. You know, or they see the card.
Yeah.
So, you know, using our cards that are helpful, you know, so this is the Robin Wood deck. It's probably my favorite, just because I love the pictures. I love the vibrancy of it, and it's based on the same deck you're using. You're using the Rider-Waite, right?
I am.
Yep.
I am.
The very classic, very...
Yep. Lately, I've felt like I always choose my deck by the way I feel the energies are at the time. And I have a whole bunch of decks, but lately I've felt like these really best represent the energy.
Simple truth is what the Rider-Waite is all about, is simple truth.
And I really feel like that's very much needed. Yeah. So that's what I've been going with. Nice. I really, 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 really love my Deviant Moon deck.
I know you do, yeah.
But it just hasn't really fit the energy lately for the things that I've been reading on. So, all right, the intention is set. We're asking Spirit for only the truth to give us some nice messages for the Heyoka Empath that can help them for their highest and greatest good. You know, what is it that Spirit, Universe, Source Energy thinks that you could benefit from hearing today as the energy stands, right?
Yeah.
All right. And Edward also reads, he's not a traditional reader, he reads according to what the cards mean to him. We channel the information, so it's, you know, it's not traditional, but it's how we do it.
Right.
So,
I've taught people traditional, and it is a long process to memorize everything that a card means. It is very often much easier and also much more profound to look at the card and feel the meaning for yourself, and then develop a relationship with those symbols.
Absolutely, absolutely. You can really be it's very personal. You and your guides, your spiritual team, your highest self can really communicate something beautiful together when it's personalized. Mm-hmm. Not saying that traditional reading isn't cool too, because, you know, everybody does it, you know, how they do it, but it's just not how we do it.
Go ahead.
All right. So the first card up, when I say what is it that the Heyoka Empath could benefit from hearing today from Spirit, the first card up that we got is the Emperor. And for you guys know that this is my divine masculine healer. It's all about healing that toxic masculinity. All right. So honestly, it is time to do some massive, massive healing with the masculine energy. It's time to cross over these toxic masculinity behaviors. Now, when I say toxic, I mean, oh, I'm so angry, I'm just going to punch you in the face. That would be toxic, right? Healthy, divine masculine energy knows when to be the warrior and when to be the healer. And even when being the warrior is doing the healing at the same time. And what we are living in is a time where we've all been taught this toxic masculinity. We've also been taught toxic femininity.
Yeah.
So it's time to heal that toxic masculinity, and it's time to heal. It's time to heal. But cross that toxic masculinity over, and that's what's representing the question. That's really what they want you to know the most. The energy driving the reading is that things are going to be changing. We are in an entirely new vibration. That vibration is coming fast. And right now, the Heyokas may feel very tied up, restricted, not really knowing what to do, how to feel, who to be, what to be. And you know what? That's exactly why Edward and I were saying, take the label. You know, you don't need to be a Heyoka empath to be of value, right? You don't need that label. And, you know, as long as you hold on to that label, you will feel like you're tied up. So it's time for you to expand. Across from the healing, you've spent most of your life disappointed and hurt, but you've hyper-focused on the icky stuff rather than turning around and seeing the whole room and seeing the good stuff. And what I mean by that is when I'm working with somebody, the reason why every healer needs a healer, I'll tell you why. Because we're no good. We can only help you as far as we've helped ourselves, number one. Number two, when we're working on our own stuff, if we don't have a healer helping us with that, we can only see the room from our perception. So right now, Edward and I are facing the camera, and we can see that much, and we can see, because of the camera, what's behind us. There's this whole piece of this room we're not seeing. We don't see it. We have to like turn to look at it, right? And it's the same thing when you have a problem. You can only see what you can see. And your healer or your counselor or whoever, it's like they're sitting outside of your house. They're looking through your window. They see you and the whole room. And they can help you get to that point where you can turn around and you can see all of these things. So what's been happening is that just the negatives have been being focused on and not the positives. So you've been in a place of sorrow. You've stayed in this place of sorrow. And it's become a lot of work for you to do it. Do you really want to stay in that place of sorrow? Right? Because, I mean, you're working hard right now to remain in sorrow. So it's time for a shift is basically what this layout is saying. So that's what my layout is saying right now. You've got two major arcana cards that came up at the very beginning. It's time to heal and cross over that toxic masculinity. It may be uncomfortable with this card. It's uncomfortable. But anything of value is work. And when we step outside of a box, it is uncomfortable at first. At first. And then when it gets comfortable, there's another box that you need to push yourself. Well, you don't need to do anything. But if you want to heal, once you get past the discomfort, now it's time to get uncomfortable again. And that's how it is. That's what healing's all about.
And it's a continual process. You will never, never, never really finish.
Right, right.
There's always going to be something.
Yeah. So I would say a lot of toxic masculinity has been brought into your lives, creating sorrow. Let's start healing that. That's a big deal. If you want something new to come into your life, the divine masculine brings that to you, but the divine masculine can't bring you the good stuff if you're the block to it, right? And then I'm sure once you heal the divine masculine, you got to work on the divine feminine because that's where you're worthy enough to receive it. So, anyways, what you got
Very
there,
nice.
Ed?
So I've got a little bit of a different layout. Yeah, you guys can see it. So I intuit my layouts most of the time, and I think you do too, actually.
Yeah, yeah.
So we're going to start with the significator in the middle, and this is really the main message, and then we'll move out around. And I already, as Lori was starting, I'd already started like getting messages and feeling stuff. And I'm like, oh my, okay, this is going to be great. So I'm very excited about this. And I can see some of the cards, and I'm like, oh yeah, I see where that card means that for you, but I know what it would mean for me, and it's still part of the piece. Yeah. So the first card we're going to do, and I do work with upside down cards. Some readers don't, but I do, and I do them a little differently. So this is the two, I'll put it right side up. This is the Two of Pentacles. Now, the Two of Pentacles is really all about balance. So as a Heyoka empath, one of the things that is really important to know is that one of the things that you provide is to bring balance into the force, into life. And that balance, even though in this card it feels like a duality of, left and right, good and bad, whatnot, light and dark, and it is, but it is also a balance in the universe, so it's past and present and future. And we are at the fulcrum point in the present. So that means in order to do this correctly, in order to do this in the healthiest way possible for any empath, but for a Heyoka empath specifically, is to be able to balance themselves. That's why we have the rope right here. And that actually is the most important part, which is why it was at the top of the card. The most important part is always the root. And the root is the person who is asking for the reading, asking for the information, the person who is the practitioner. Everything starts off with you. If you haven't done the work, if you haven't created a balance in your life, then you are going to have a much more difficult time to bring balance to those around you. So look for the balance. If you are feeling, and I'm a scholar as well. A lot of times I will go down rabbit holes, and I know that this is a big part of the channel. So I have a pretty vast knowledge of what the Heyoka empath is, and one of the pieces that a lot of the empaths at large, but Heyoka specifically, will talk about is constantly being affronted by narcissists and negativity, because you're that mirror. That's a big piece of it, and what this is saying is really bringing balance into your life so that you will start to see the good stuff and find some relief in that. You'll get some other people coming to you that you'll be able to work through some of that stuff with, and that's important because that mirror needs to show both in order to be truly effective. So this is a significator, and it really is all about balance. And as within, so without. In order to really truly bring the balance to the world, we really need to bring balance to ourselves. So self-care is definitely important, but also looking at the good part in anything that you are mirroring. The universe will give you and send you that which will give you the information. So truthfully, your mirror, so is the person coming at you. And it's not that you're, we'll say, a narcissist, because that's a big one for a lot of the Heyoka empaths. It's not that you're a narcissist. That's not why that you're being presented with narcissists all the time. But what in that is the universe showing that you're out of balance? Where in that persona can you identify and heal to help bring balance to that person and as well as you? One of the tools, and I know this is just the first card, guys. This is the thing. I get a lot from each card generally. One of the tools that is important that I have taught several empaths at large is the Ho'oponopono, and I can't spell it. And I can spell it. It's H-O apostrophe P-O-N-O. And Ho'oponopono comes from the Hawaiian traditions, and it is a form of healing that says whatever comes into our experience, whether it's something we are directly experiencing or just aware of. So that narcissist comes in. Healing a narcissist is almost impossible because you can't be a narcissist and accept that there's a problem. That the two are mutually exclusive, but you can't heal until you accept that there's an issue there.
Well, can I just step in there for a second? As a healer, you can't heal anybody.
Well, that's true, yeah.
You've got to heal yourself.
Right.
And through healing yourself, you heal the world.
Right. And that's what the Ho'oponopono is. And there are, definitely look it up, but there are 4 key phrases to do the work. And it's, I love you, I'm sorry, please forgive me, and thank you. And that thank you is a big piece of it, because that thank you is thank you to the universe and to yourself for allowing you to receive the experience that has made you aware of these things. I hope that all made sense. Okay, so now we're gonna say what you stand on. So this bottom card here is really Where we are now, this is a momentary snapshot. So what is being stood on right now? And
Yeah.
I can't make this stuff up. And I didn't look.
I saw it.
Right?
I'm back.
Right?
I'm back. He started to flip that, and I was like, oh, yeah.
Pain. Right now what you're standing on is pain. And that has been given to you. And by that I mean, oh boy. Okay, we're going to go esoteric here. In the very, very, very old writings and information on the Heyoka Empaths, it was not all about pain. It's never all been all about pain. You were never meant to suffer the way that you suffer. However, if you were and this is how I like to think, when it comes to quote-unquote conspiracy theories or people seeing things and knowing things, and they go, well, that can't be true. And I always think to myself, because I'm a pretty intelligent guy, if I were in the place of power and I wanted to be the Machiavellian genius that I'm truly not, but I'm capable of being, what would I do? So what would I do if I had an adversary, somebody that was having the ability to truly undo everything that I want to accomplish for me by using the people that are not awake? What would I do? I would slowly change the narrative. Where would you find this information? In books that are more recently published, on the internet, because anybody can publish anything on the internet. And those are the two biggest places. Where do most people get their information right nowadays? It's usually the internet. Go back to some of the sources. Talk to some of the Native Americans that have had the Heyoka Empath as part of their traditions for generations upon generations. Talk to some shamans. Talk to different indigenous people who have known what the Heyoka Empath is from time immemorial, and find out from them. Talk to them. Look for those people on the internet. Have discussions with them and find out what it is. But right now you're standing on a lot of heartache. And what does this breed? This breeds heartache, fear, anger, resentment. And that is one of the major dangers. The major dangers.
I forgot my coffee. I'm going to go get that. Okay. You keep talking to them now.
She's left me. Oh no.
Yes, you're right.
But that's one of the major dangers and challenges of being a Heyoka Empath in this day and age, is that we are being fed a lot of this. And it's easy to believe because we're experiencing a lot of it. But we're experiencing a lot of it because we are changing over time, having changed the narrative. There's a thing called an archetype, and an archetype is an ideal about usually a type of personality, and the Heyoka Empath is an archetype. And what we are seeing right now is the effect of what happens when someone understands archetypal magic or archetypal archetype building, and has gone in and started to change that archetype. And by changing that archetype, you change everyone across the board's experience. And this is what we were talking about earlier, the labeling. If you label yourself, labeling can be wonderful. Identifying similarities is the positive side of labeling. I have ADHD. I can seek help and find assistance and support by finding other people who also label themselves as ADHD. However, the other side to that is we become fiercely protective of that label. And when we do that, if something is unhealthy within the understanding of that community, it can fester. And that's what we're seeing right now. They've changed the meaning of the label. They've changed the meaning of the archetype slowly over time, and it has taken effect. And so what we are feeling is Heyoka Empaths, when you're in that space, what you feel is what has been done to you. That should piss you off. If it doesn't, start making it so that it does.
Well, that's right. Well, that's righteous anger.
Yes, absolutely, absolutely. That is a righteous anger, and the best way to combat that is to shuck off that label and say, "Listen, I am not that person. Yes, you can still identify as a Heyoka Empath, but if you still do that, anybody who has done any reading and research will see only what has been presented. So, better for you to find another word." The homosexual community did this years ago, with being called gay. They transitioned a word. Many marginalized communities have done it where they have taken back power simply by taking a term that was used to hurt and taking it and bringing it to heal. This is the power that can come from this, but you have to know where you're coming from. And right now, you guys are standing on a lot of heartache, a lot of pain, and that's being done to you. And that's really taking you out of the game where it's harder and harder for you to bring balance. And by bringing balance, harder and harder for you to mirror the change that needs to be done in the world and the gifts of love and beauty, which would help more people awaken.
Right, absolutely.
And feel supported.
Because when we're mirroring those positive things, we help create a positive change. And if we're only mirroring the negative, then we're doing exactly what the cabal wants, you guys.
Mm-hmm.
We're creating their world that goes out into the consciousness, and it creates what they want, right?
Right, and that's where that compassion piece comes from. I think it was Martin Luther King that said, one of my favorite quotes, you know, hate cannot get rid of hate, only love can do that.
Right, love heals all.
Right, so if you're mirroring, you know, a behavior or mirroring a space to someone who is hurt, you're just continuing to create more hurt. You can do a mirror lovingly, and I highly suggest learning how to do that if that's not something that you do now. And I think a lot of people fall into that category of not being able to do that or not thinking of doing that. You know, and then somebody says it and they're like, oh, of course, that's the easiest thing to think about. I mean, why didn't I think of that? Well, because you've been programmed. You know, you received information. And none of us want to think that we've been taken advantage of. We have that ego that says, you know, I'm too smart for that. I'm too loving for that. I'm too this for that. Truthfully, it's across the board. There's a thing called psychology, and that psychology is hardwired into our being, and it makes it very easy for those people who understand psychology to be able to make those transitions. And then once you take that and you start to combine it with magical thinking, not magical thinking is in the psychological thought pattern of, you know, always thinking of the beauty and the magic.
Magical feeling.
Magical feeling and magical work and energetic work, and you combine those three things and you are nigh unstoppable, and it makes it very difficult for those who are being affected by it to step out from the shadow. It's like a threefold punch, and it's very, very difficult to pull yourself out of it and go, oh wait, hold on, this is not okay.
Well, a lot of people say that they, you know, what I hear a lot is, I don't have it in me to send love to somebody that I know is being abusive or I know is doing something awful. Let me just tell you, there's some positives to this. If you can't get out of that space of they don't deserve it, let me tell you why they do deserve it. They can't stand the vibration of it, for one thing. So
right.
It doesn't align with them. So if you're not in alignment with a vibration, if you're not in alignment with people, and you're uncomfortable around somebody, it's because they vibrate in a different way than you. And so you're not comfortable in their presence. Love and nefarious people, they are so uncomfortable with love, you guys. Just send it to them. Just send it to them. They're uncomfortable with them. It makes them vulnerable. It throws them off their guard. And you know what? Whether they want it or not, it might actually heal them. But at the very least, it's shining a light on them. It's causing them to make mistakes. It's causing them to be vulnerable, and it's causing them to screw up because that does not align with them, right? The light is always going to want to shine on the dark. So if you're sending that love out, the people that deserve the love in your mind, right? Because we all deserve love. All of us, believe it or not. Source loves all of us. Well, true. It's a true story. It's a true story.
These are things that some of us take for granted. We're like, yeah, of course, duh.
Right.
You know.
So, if in your mind they don't deserve love, which is what I hear often, think of it on that other way. Like, think of it as you're the policeman, and you've got the flashlight, and you're gonna shine the light on the bad guys so that they can get caught and be put where they need to be put. And if that's the only way that you can think of it, then good enough. Think of it that way. But just pull in those feelings of love that you felt as a kid, pure love for that cat or that dog or the frog or the snake or the flower, or you loved something purely as a child, and send that out to all. Because love knows what to do and it heals everything. All we've got to do is send it, right? It's the easiest thing. It doesn't cost anything.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so now we're going to go for the top one. Now, the top one for me is what the universe is giving us. So the middle one is really, you know, where we are, what our true purpose is. The bottom card over here is really, you know, what we are experiencing on this plane of existence, in the prime material plane, the actual physical plane that we're living in. And then this is the spiritual gifts. You know, what is coming from source, what is coming from the ether, what we're pulling from, and what basically what the divine wants us to know. Oh, this is lovely. This is the Six of Pentacles. The Six of Pentacles is, I'm trying to get it so that the shine is not in there. So the Six of Pentacles is really all about giving. Giving, giving, giving. And it is difficult sometimes for those of us who are in the healing capacities for ourselves. It is hard for us to accept. And believe it or not, it is very difficult, because if we're accepting, it is very difficult sometimes to think about giving without giving of ourselves. And we're not talking about giving of ourselves. When I do Reiki, you know, one of the things that I teach when I teach Reiki is your straw. And the same thing happens for everything. And Heyoka Empaths are channels. They are straws. They are healers just like the rest of us. And they are some of the most profound healers, working on karmic stuff from way, way long ago, and then also into the future. They're healing the future and the past at the same time, grounding heaven into earth, which is what I teach all the time. Exactly. Yeah. So when I tell people, when they put their hands on a person, I said, you know, let them take. Let them take. If they're not taking from you, they're not taking you. You are simply holding space. They're taking the energy that you are connected with. So they're taking from the divine. And so this is all about giving. This is about give of your time, give of your finances, give. I mean, this is a person of affluence. This is a person who has many, many gifts at their disposal. This is a person who has tons of energy. If you think of the pentacles as energy, you know, everything is, and there's that balance again. Everything is in balance. So therefore, you're pulling perfectly from the universe. That universe is just giving you all of this, and it's meant to be given out. It's just meant to let people take. It's okay. Step out of the way. Step out of the way. That's important, because our egos are like, oh God, I can't do this. As a practicing healer, that has always been something that I have struggled with. It is. It's an illusion. It's an illusion. But it's something that I've struggled with, and it's an illusion, I think, that's been put on us again by cultural constructs that are meant to limit us. The cabal. But the cabal, yeah. The cabal wants you to think that you are limited, that you've got this place where you can no longer do something because you just can't. Right. You can't go beyond that, or you'll be drained, or you'll be empty. We have the power. We're magical. Yeah. We fill our cups all the time if we want to. Right, and let it happen. Mm-hmm. So that's what that is. Now, we're going to talk about some gifts here, and these usually go pretty well. So the challenges are at the bottom, and the gifts are at the top. Let's do the challenges first. Okay, so we've what we're standing on. This is the biggest part. And then the challenge over here is the Emperor. Now, for the Emperor, for me, actually does not correspond to the same thing as the Emperor for me. For Lori. We read our own way. Right, exactly. So the symbolism here isn't bad, but it's upside down, which means the Emperor's on its head, right? So this is where the challenge lies. The Emperor is generally a wise... I don't put a lot of feeling with the Emperor. I don't feel a lot of feeling there. That's not where the father figure or necessarily the divine comes from. This is or the sacred masculine comes from for me in my card deck. But I will say that he is a wise leader. He is a wise person who has had many life experiences, and that's where he is. That's why he is sitting on the throne, because he has the ability and the knowledge and the experience to help guide, okay? So, but it's upside down. Everything is on its head. So from this space, the biggest challenge is to see what is upside down, is to discern what is upside down. So go back through those informational pieces that you had and really look at them. See what you want to resonate with. Not just what you resonate with, but what you want to resonate with. Because the glamour is so complete, the illusion is so complete from what we've been fed, that we will resonate with the negatives. But what do you want to resonate with? Do you want to resonate with the negative? Do you want to resonate with the positive? Okay, cool. You want to resonate with the positive because I should hope everybody wants to be in that positive, loving, happy, at least contented space. Look at those things and go, well, why isn't this true? And you'll find out very quickly. Your guides will show you and your intuition will show you that those things are true and that you've been misled. And so that's one of the biggest challenges from this space, from being told that it is all about pain, is that it is not true. Okay. I'm a little passionate about this, can you tell? The Five of Swords. Okay, so the other challenge that comes about this is the Five of Swords. Now, the Five of Swords is, this is one of those ego cards. This is the card that laughs at the back. I'll try to, again, without the piece. And you can see he's bringing his swords with him, and he's laughing. I say him, it's a they. That's one of the other things I like about this deck is a lot of it is fairly androgynous. You don't know feminine versus masculine, and that's okay because that's a good balance. They feed into each other to create the personas that we see here. But this person is looking back at the people who are leaving in sorrow. They've used their gifts to keep themselves safe. The idea that we are harmed by our very existence, or that we experience harm by our very existence of constantly being confronted with the negative energy and pulling it into ourselves is another one of those lies. But it's one of those self-fulfilling lies because that ego will continue to believe that it needs to keep us safe. All empaths, Heyoka and otherwise, all empaths are injured. They are the wounded healer at their best, at their most, at the epitome of what a wounded healer is. That's an empath. Every empath, Heyoka and otherwise, has a core of hurt within them. That core can come from personal experiences this lifetime, can come from past experiences through past lifetimes, but it is always there and it is being carried. And that is a playground for the ego. And so it's very simple for us to receive messages from this, to keep ourselves alone, to make sure that we are protecting ourselves by not going out into the world and by only allowing certain individuals. Now, yes, you do want to only allow certain individuals in your life, but you want to be able to expose yourself to the world. You want to be able to expose your light to the world.
It's safe.
It is. It is a lot safer than anything that you're being told. So, once you start to understand and once you start to be able to work with and accept this energy from the universe, and that universe is giving it freely and that you are allowed to give it freely too, this becomes obsolete. It's a struggle. I'm not going to say it's not, because the ego is a bastard. It really is when it comes down to it. But it has a purpose. It has a purpose. And that purpose is to keep us safe and to understand our experiences from a long-term aspect. Where it fails us is it creates a world of brick and mortar around us. And we, as spiritual beings in an egotistical and physical world, what our challenge or what our purpose is to do is to question that brick and mortar and see where we can make it better and see where, this is not as hard as it needs to be. It's not as unsafe as we were first told. The ego is sitting there going, okay, it's unsafe, it's unsafe, it's unsafe. Why? Because you were hurt. Okay, cool. So now you have the power as an adult, as someone who is standing in your power, to say, I'm choosing to allow myself to be open to this experience. And it's like the rabbit or the groundhog sticking its head above the ground, and they look around, and they go out and they eat something. And it's the sweetest grass they've ever had. Why? Because they realize that they're okay, they're safe. So I'm not saying willy-nilly throw yourself out there, but I'm also saying don't clam yourself up in that cave. That's not who you are, and we are poorer for it, and you are going to be more hurt for it. You are allowing yourself to be hurt at that point in time and stay in that space. And there's so much love out there. So much love out there. I whispered that. Hopefully you all heard that. Love, it's there.
It is, and the more you get in touch with that, the more you'll experience it.
Yep.
So, both Edward and I have walked through hell on our lips, right? When you're stuck in that pain, the universe, because we're vibrating there and we're radiating that out. We're co-creating our existence all the time, you guys.
With everybody else, everybody at this moment.
We're powerful, powerful.
And thank you for helping co-create with me.
Yeah.
Seriously.
So, you know, I mean, if we're in that space of pain, the universe, we will see more reasons to feel pain.
Yeah. And
we'll experience more pain. Now, pain is a very real thing, and I'm not diminishing that. Like I said, we've both been through hell on our lips. But when you start pulling in the good stuff and understanding that just because you've seen all of this doesn't mean there isn't that. That's not a fairy tale.
Right.
It's just that the cabal wants you to not know you're magical, and they want to keep you in fear, and they want to keep you down, and they want to keep you experiencing what they want us to experience. So we have to stand in our power and start shining our light and pull in those loving feelings and that joy that every kid feels at some moment, that pure joy, that pure love, pull that in, start putting that out. And you know what? Those experiences will start coming in. And when you start seeing the good stuff, you automatically start getting that balance.
And do you know what happens if you take a mirror to the good stuff, like the small good stuff? You take a mirror to it. This is how they, way back in medieval times and so on and so forth, they would have mirrors. This is how doctors did it. And I say medieval times, but like even coming forward before technology was the way it is, it's mirror with another mirror and another mirror and another mirror with a little bit more of a convex, a curvature to it. And this is how it is continued to resonate to the point where you can see this very little piece of good and be completely magnified into this very large picture of what is possible.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
I love that.
Yeah, me too. It gives me chills.
I don't think about what I'm going to say before I say it, so like sometimes it comes through like, ooh, that was good, I should write that down.
Yeah, that's a good message. I like that a lot.
So these are the two things from the universe. This is what the universe wants you to know where you are right now. That will hopefully, I shouldn't say hopefully, always does, help mitigate these two challenges, really help, get you through this stuff. So the first one here is the Knight of Cups. So the Knight of Cups is the emotional man for me. This is the emotional man. This is a man that has not, this is the divine masculine. A man that is not afraid of emotions. So, and we're talking about, I call it a man, but here's the thing. We have within us all, at all times, again, it's the balance, the both energies, which is why, one of the reasons why I like this deck so much is because a lot of it is fairly androgynous. And it is the balance of those two energies that create that. So we have emotional male energy. Male energy is all about doing. It really is all about doing. And female energy is all about that receiving, that acceptance, that love, that providing a place. It's that lovely piece. So when you have a divine masculine that is in touch, has authority, and is available to their emotions, they can literally ride on them. And they can ride those emotions in a very positive way. And they can use those emotions to understand the world around them.
Create miracles.
Which will allow this wonderful guy right here to open up the wisdom and allow the information to come through and the true potential of the Heyoka Empath to be experienced. Because right now, I will say that the overwhelming feeling is where we are right now. Yes, there are some of you out there that are feeling this, and I know it's resonating with you because I've met some, and they really truly get this and they feel this, and they've recovered, as it were, from some of the negative information they've been given. But the potential is there, but right now there's so much information that is hiding that potential. Your true potential lies in the working with your emotions, becoming okay with the pain, sitting with some of it, and realizing that it is part of the loving space that we are in, and that you don't want other people to go through that, which is part of that piece. There's a saying that, and I've heard it done two ways. In the heart, what is it? In the wounded heart lies the seat or the seed of compassion, and it's true. When we acknowledge our own pain, we can see the pain in others. When we can see the pain in others, simply by saying, listen, I see your pain, this is the pain that I have experienced, and sharing just that energy. I'm not even talking about words, I'm just talking about sharing that energy, sitting with each other through that pain, and understanding, it will help heal. It will help heal. And being a healer is a little bit of a misnomer. We don't do much of anything. We hold space.
We hold space.
We allow the other person to make the changes in their lives and views, and we provide a channel for that universal energy to come through that the person can't channel themselves yet because they're not there, because they're hurting. And that
because they haven't healed.
Right, exactly. And that hurt has...
We got to heal that hurt, you guys.
Has blocked that channel. So like when we get to a point where we can sit with that pain on our own and it does not, no longer hinders that channel of divine energy, that's when the healing can begin. And we can start to say, okay, I'm a healer. Basically, I just sit here while you do your work. I sit here and love you.
And hold space for you.
And hold space for you.
Yeah. And I give you information that you haven't received yet. And there's so much to it, but there's so much to it, but there's like nothing to it at the same time.
So when I read this card, I forgot to say it was upside down. So part of the other message to this is knowing when to hold your emotions in check versus emoting. And that's important because when we're supporting other people, sometimes it is that other person that really needs to emote. And you need, again, to hold yourself in check and allow them to experience whatever emotions. And this is what we do.
You spill it.
We talked about this, I'm in a bad space, I go, grr, and Lori's like, okay, you're done now, let's work on this. But, she gives me that time, and you need that time. People need that. So that's an important lesson for that. And the last one we have here, the Two of Wands. The Two of Wands, or Two of Staves in this case, but staves. There it is. And again, it is upside down. So that's it upside down. This is it right side up. And this is the wandering heart. Part of the huge disservice that has been done to many people. I want to throw this out there to many people. I want to expand beyond Heyoka and empaths and healers and other light workers. I want to get it all in there. One of the biggest disservices that has been done, again, is that limiting. And this is the message. And labeling. And that's how it's done. Because psychologically we want to be like other people. We have a team, go Pats or go Buffalo Bills or go Red Sox or go, whatever it is. Some of the thing I can't even pronounce probably later on in life, but, we have this need to identify ourselves through a label. This is an actual psychological phenomena in our heads. And what the universe wants us to know is we are truly limitless. And the problem is this right now is kind of blocked. This is kind of blocked in our culture. People are waking up to it. But this is why we are seeing people who are silently awake. And it's because they're waking up. They're having these ideas. But because
they're feeling shame.
Right. They're shamed. They don't know, or they haven't heard other people talk about it. And it's like trauma. It's like shame, again. But the truth is the same way. If it's not shared, it has so much power, negative power over us. If we don't share our shame, if we don't share our trauma, then what do? We lock it inside, it festers. If we don't share our truth, what do? We lock it inside, think we're the only one who might potentially see this, think that we're crazy. It becomes all gobbledygook inside. And
we end up having a messed up throat chakra and a messed up heart chakra.
Yeah. So
we get sick.
Share that love and understand that we are limitless. And that's scary. That is really, really scary. It feels like free falling when you go through this space. And I've recently done this over the last, it's been a few years, and I cannot tell you. I can tell you kind of when it started, but I cannot tell you when it ended. Because all of a sudden I found myself back with my feet feeling firmly planted on the ground, but I was different. And it was because I started to question. And I started to question the paradigm that we are living in right now. It is because I started to question the information that was handed to me. And this is happening all across the board. But for those of us who are light workers, we really need to take a look at this. Because where did this information come from? If you go back to looking at the sources, even for Reiki, you have many, many, many teachers who teach a plethora of different ways. And the problem is that some of those ways are based upon guilt, shame, and hurt. and I've seen it, or power over others. I mean, I've seen that too, and I cry.
Yeah, the power over others thing is like so rampant in this world. That's how we've gotten to this place. We need to step right on out of that.
Absolutely, absolutely. So, being in that space to understand that we're limitless, and that means we're going to be vulnerable, and that means that it's going to be scary, and that's okay. Sitting in fear is really, really kind of an important skill. Being comfortable being uncomfortable.
Yeah, you got to be comfortable being uncomfortable. That's what I always say.
And believe me, it's a lot easier said than done, but that's where healing can happen. And that's where you can reach...
That's where miracles happen.
Yeah, exactly. That's where you can reach your highest potential, where you can become the miracle worker that, and this is for everybody, but specifically because we're reading on Heyoka Empaths, that's where the miracles happen, and that's where you can reach the potential that you came into this plane of existence and at this time to bring about, is to reach that potential, to help heal the world, to help wake up, to help spread your light so that other people can spread their light and feel safe doing so.
Right, and I just, you're awesome. I love you.
I love you too.
I also want to say, as I look at this spread, as that energy shifts, you guys, it is moving fast and you know it.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
Yep.
So there's that energy shift. It's going to get harder and harder and harder for you feeling low as the vibration lifts. It's going to get harder and harder and harder for you. Those low vibrations are going to feel heavier and heavier as the other vibrations get lighter and lighter, right? Because as the vibration of the planet shifts and consciousness shifts, if you're holding all that pain and you're just standing in that, and you're standing in this pain, well, this vibration all around you is trying to lighten up and heal, you're going to feel devastated beyond anything you've ever known, because the vibrations of the rest of the world won't be in sync with you. So it is so important that you start healing that pain.
And since this is going to be published right now, I do want to let people know that we are actually right now in this space where we're running astrologically right now there is a big uplift and a big shift, and it started on Wednesday. Now we're going to feel it. So today is Sunday for us here. It started on Wednesday, and people will have felt it probably 3 to 5 days beforehand. It's going to be, the major astrological events are for about a week. So next Wednesday is when the gate will close again, and we'll probably feel it for 2 or 3 days more after that. But people are leaving the plane of existence. So there's been a decent number of people passing, on to the other side, to help.
And they're working over there on that benefit.
Exactly.
Let me tell you what.
To help bring that energy in, to help bring us the energy that we need and raise that vibration.
Yeah.
But because of the type of shift it is right now, there are a lot of people, specifically healers, that will find themselves emotional in one sense or the other. I've spent some time crying, just for no reason. Don't know why. It's just been a thing. All of a sudden I'll just cry. A friend of mine, same thing. I play handbells, and we were playing a piece, and it's a piece that is really beautiful, but we've played it a million times without. I mean, we definitely feel it, but when all of a sudden, she burst into tears in the middle of practice, and we were talking about that, and she had this going on for several days. And that's what's going on. I'm feeling a lot of anger right now. It is any little thing that goes wrong for me. I mean, I almost broke probably a $2,000 computer at work the other day because something happened wrong, and I wanted to feed the keyboard to the screen.
Did you swear? I love that when he gets mad, because he's like such a potty mouth.
Oh, I am.
And look at him. You wouldn't think it to look at him.
Everybody thinks I'm sweet and innocent until I lose my temper. You know? But it's better swearing in some ways than everything else. And I had my door closed to the office that I was working in, and they could hear me, and I could hear them laughing because they have the same thing. When I swear, they're like, "Oh, Ed's unfair," you know, and it's funny for them, and it's true, you know. Looking at it from the outside, it is hilarious when I do that, and then afterwards, I can also laugh at it, but. There's a lot of emotional shedding going on, and that's what that is. You know, be crying for no reason. I shouldn't say for no reason. It's not for no reason, but
it's release.
It's those releases, as if you were to be on a table or having a session with somebody that is doing energy work for you, and with you. Those are releases. That anger is a release. You know, and not the experiencing the anger, but just letting it go, and coming to the forefront. It's being shed from your energetic being.
Well, and tears do more than just release emotions. They also release toxins.
Yep.
So crying is really good for you. And I mean, we've been taught not to do it, right? Because they want to keep us small. They want to keep us unhealthy. They want to keep us not using our magic. But we have to, you know, to cry, we release our emotions, but we also get rid of toxins while we're doing it. So, I mean, we have these tear ducts and the ability to cry for a reason.
And that's one of the reasons.
We're divine beings. We were created perfectly.
And that's one of the reasons why we feel so good after we cry. Most people will feel very good after they cry.
I don't.
Physically, well, there's always the ugly cry, you know. But you know, truthfully, most people after they cry, they feel better because they've released those toxins, but they've also released that emotional energy. So
for me, if I do get into that crying mode, I'm completely exhausted. I don't feel better. I'm wiped right out, and then I know it's okay. So I've expended everything, right? And then I have to fill myself back up. So that's where the bath comes in, and the bubbles, and the crystals, the incense, the candles,
self-care,
and the music, and the things that make me feel good, that pamper me, and will help me rejuvenate and fill my cup back up. Yeah. So I want to. What I usually do is. You did a really good read. I appreciate you.
Yeah, thank you. Sorry, I'm looking at the time. This is a very long read.
It's a very long read. What are we at?
We're over an hour. Yeah.
Yeah, and I usually try to keep these short and sweet, right? You guys,
sorry, guys.
You guys are used to me going blibbity blibbity blah. Have a good day, guys.
That's not the way my guides speak to me, unfortunately.
Yeah. So I'm just gonna do a double check on. What you guys can be looking for the positive, okay? Because you see a lot of the negative, but it's time for you to turn around and start seeing that positive. So I'm just going to do a quick double check on that, and then we're going to wrap this up because it's been, you know, it's long, and I don't know, it might take 12 days for it to go up on YouTube.
I shouldn't laugh, that's horrible.
Edward is actually the person who helped me get it so that it's going up a little faster, but...
It only takes 6 days now.
Yeah. So... yeah, it's still going up a little slower than I'd like it to. We'll troubleshoot that sometime.
Yes, yeah, we'll have to work on that.
But it's much better than it was, you guys. It's not going up for 18 hours and then bouncing back at me. So it should be able to handle this 1 hour upload. So I just want to look to see what it is that you guys can start through Spirit. What does Spirit want to tell you? The easiest place, because, right, you've got to start in baby steps. So what is the easiest place where Spirit thinks that you can start seeing the positive? Because you got to retrain that brain, right? It's retraining it. So where's the easiest place for you to start so that you can move out from there? Where are you going to start seeing that positive that Spirit wants you looking for, okay?
I'm excited to see what card this is because I actually know what the next card in my deck is because I was going to flip it and I was like, nope, that's part of a different piece. So I'm very excited to see what card this is.
Yeah. Well, let's see what Spirit wants you to know. My goodness. So we... You guys, the easiest place. Oh, see, Spirit says you guys aren't pussies.
Right.
That you have the ability. I mean, and they're not giving you easy tasks. They're saying you can do this easily. You just got to set your head to it, right? So Spirit says start looking around the earth at all the earthly pleasures because you are an empath. So you're going to see those flowers being beautiful. You're going to see each blade of grass for being gorgeous. Focus on the earthly pleasures in abundance. Start looking at the grass, the trees, the sky, the birds, the animals, the water. There's plenty of pure joy out there and things that you can look at that's the positive. And Spirit says that is going to be the key indicator that starts breaking you from these chains that are binding you and holding you in this pain, okay? I mean, very, very important. And then the Lovers. So you got 2 higher arcana cards, you guys, right? You got 2 higher arcana cards. So this is big picture. It's a big deal. It's a very big deal. So start looking at all the earthly pleasures. That's going to help you break those chains that bind you and keep you stuck. And you got the Lovers. So get over the hump and open that heart and feel love and emanate it. I remember years ago, Edward and I, we approach things so differently. I'm fire, man. I'm all fire. He's earth.
Earth, you add a little bit of emotion. I'm stuck in the mud.
He makes a lot of mud for himself, I always say. And I'm just like, I'm ready to rock and roll, you know. I get something in my head and I'm ready to rock and roll it. But as far as the Lovers go, you know, you get this hump, right? This hump to get over. Edward one day said to me, so when I'm in an unsafe situation, I close my heart, I protect it.
Right? This was years ago. This is how where I am. I get it.
And I was like, what the hell are you doing? I said, you're closing your heart. You're closing your heart. You're not healing it. Like,
it made sense at the time.
If you're closing your heart, how's it going to heal? How are you ever going to feel safe if you always just go, let me just disappear. I'm just not going to work on that. Like, open that heart. We have to open that heart. That heart connects to our mind. Our mind, our crown chakra, connects to spirit. If we want to be the divine beings we deserve to be, and not these slaves that we've been manipulated into being, opening our heart is essential. We have to open it so that we can heal it. You can't heal a closed heart, and it's safe to open it.
I'd like to add one more thing, just because you brought it up, the earthly pleasures. One of the things we didn't really talk about with the Heyoka Empaths is we process things. And I have said we because this is a label that I don't use, but it is definitely, I resonate with just about all of it, which is why I went down the rabbit hole. We experience and process all of those energies and those emotions through our body. Negative emotions and their physical counterparts are part and parcel of the addictions in our lives. You know, that's why, you know, news organizations only give you that negative news, because that's what engages you. Psychologically, we're hardwired for it, and then our body becomes dependent upon that negative energy that comes through. When we, you know, take those earthly pleasures in, you know, go to view the sunrise, lay in the grass, ground, earth, you know, earthing is one of those things, beautiful things. It starts to help us through and out of that addiction piece. And that is incredibly important, because guess what? We process, most of us, I've met a few that haven't, but most Heyoka Empaths process through their body. And I'm talking everything. You walk through a negative cloud of shit, and, you know, while you're, sorry, swearing,
it's fine.
But where you're clearing energy and whatnot, and you'll choke or cough or like all of a sudden be sick for a week. You know, those things happen. That was me. That was me for a long time. But being able to clear and understand that our bodies are just as capable of experiencing those beautiful moments and connecting to that beautiful experience and that beautiful pleasure of life, physical pleasure of life. As you know, we don't want to negate that. We don't want to neglect that. That is an important part of who we are. Specifically, that's part of that balance that we were talking about in the beginning. So
yeah.
that's a beautiful, beautiful place to start, truthfully.
Yeah. Those earthly pleasures, and open that heart. I know years ago I would run and hide. I couldn't handle it, you know. And Edward Ed has been a conspiracy theorist friend of mine for a long time. I love it. But there were even some things, even though I knew about them and they were in my consciousness, if Ed wanted to talk about them, I'd be like, no.
And vice versa. Like, there are things that you bring up, like, oh God, no, I can't deal with this right now.
Right. Because it was just too hard for me and I just wanted to run and hide because just hearing the words, my body would be thrown off. My head would be thrown off. My heart would be thrown off my body. I wanted to puke, be sick, die. You know, I'm jittering inside. My heart's breaking. You know, I just awful, couldn't handle it. But guess what? Over a period of time and much work, now I can hear these things. I still feel it, but I allow for the process that I can hold space for all of these people that are worthy of me holding space for them.
Yeah.
And not making it about me.
Yeah.
You know, because when I couldn't handle it, when I'm processing all of that in my body, it was all about me, right? But it's not about me. It's about the victims out there that need us to hold space and love and send that out.
And everybody is a victim of something.
Yeah.
Everybody is a victim of something. Even those in the cabal. Even those in the cabal that we talk about, that's why they are where they are, truthfully.
Yeah, most of them were born into it, MK Ultra, terribly abused. So it's sad, you know, it's been going on for thousands of years. It's sad. Yeah. So I think...
Thank you so much. This was so much fun. I had such a good time. Thank you guys.
Yes. Tell everybody where they can find you. And
so I am... The easiest way to find me is on Facebook. I am Edward Wilkins, Reiki Master Teacher. That's pretty much where you'll find me. I don't post a lot on there, unfortunately, and a lot of that is because I have stifled my media presence. One of the things that I have been thinking about, and this was a test for, and if it happens, I'll let Lori know if any of you are interested to find it. I am thinking about doing a video like she does, videos like she does. It's scary. And my work that I'm doing around that is something I call a thought factory, which is just my thoughts on a specific deep dive that I'm having, and they're philosophical, and I just go philosophically down a rabbit hole and intuit a lot of stuff, and but sharing that is sharing me, in my site, and so that's hard. I'm also part of a podcast, Stumbling Through Enlightenment, and you can find us on Spotify, and you can find us on Apple Podcasts, and those are released every Thursday. Every Thursday they're released, and we talk about mostly mental health things, trauma. We have check-ins. It's myself and a friend of mine, Jason, and we have check-ins, and then we have a deep dive of some sort. Sometimes the deep dive is just a conversation between the two of us on a specific subject that we both find interesting, and sometimes they are pieces that we have researched on, and research is kind of a loose term. We've read a couple of books on, or we've really gone down a rabbit hole on, and want to share because we found the information useful, so we're hoping other people will as well. So those are the two places, and Stumbling Through Enlightenment at gmail.com. You can reach me through that, obviously.
And I believe they're on Facebook.
Yes, we are.
It has a Facebook page too.
Yeah. So those are the ways that you can reach me, if you so choose. If you would like, if you so choose. Look at that was that ego going, oh, you're not good enough. I've just given you a very dynamic reading. I was excited to do it, but then when I have to sell myself, that's not okay. And that's one of those pieces from my past, and we're always working on it.
It's being worthy.
Yeah. So please reach out if you want to do a personal reading on a very specific subject. By all means, I can do that. If you want to work through some distance work, some distance healing, I work with a lot of light workers to work with healing work around their practices because. I've had to do it for myself, and I've learned through other people and the support, and I want to create that support network for other people too. So whatever it is, please reach out. Please find me and please reach out.
Yeah. All right, guys. So you know the drill. If you're open to the healing, please do breathe it in. Say that you accept it. Decree it for only your highest and greatest good, only and always. Edward and I are going to come back with another reading. This one will go up Maybe I can get it to go a little faster on the next one. I don't know.
I mean, I can speak faster.
I don't know.
I can definitely speak faster.
Yeah, he can. He really can. So yeah, we'll do another reading. We might have to cut it into 2 parts because I don't know how long the long one will go up.
Right.
Right now, I got to do some chores. I got to feed my little critters and stuff. But until next time, you guys know I'm sending you all so much love and so much healing and blessings and prosperity and abundance and joy and you name it. I want that for all of us the world over. So I'm sending that to all of you. Until next time, please do take care. Love you guys. Thank you so much for all of your support. I mean, we're really getting to be quite a little family, and I just really appreciate all of you. So, all right.
Thank you.
Bye.